podcast is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors, Pella of Omaha and Lincoln. Wants every homeowner to have the best quality windows and doors, and they're willing to bet, I believe what the people call in the streets, a C-note. Isn't that, I think, what, $100 at a C-note is? So? Thanks. A C-note on it, $100 on it. Call the Omaha or Lincoln showroom or go to PellaOmaha.com to find out how you can get a C-note and new windows and doors starting at $122 a month. And the Nick Bob podcast is brought to you by the Brickway Cut Spike Lucky Bucket family. You can see our bourbons displayed right here for our YouTube audience. Your boy was drinking some Oktoberfest last night before the game. It was fantastic. So, I mean, whether it's the bourbon, the beer, they got you covered. They're located in the Omaha La Vista area, 4 blocks south, 120th and Giles. Go check them out. And we're brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems, the Solaire authorized distributor for Nebraska and Iowa. Solaire is the leading American manufacturer of air compressors. So for any and all air compressor needs, go to peerlessenergy.com. That's peerlessenergy.com. Bo Ruud, Nick Bahe, game recap. Nebraska wins over Northern Iowa, 34-3. They improved to 3-0 in non-conference play. First of all, how are you? Are you doing okay?
I'm excellent.
You were hanging with the Farley boys.
I was.
You were with the Farley boys yesterday. You must have been were you giving them secrets and whatnot of what?
The opposite. I was trying to distract them.
They run a 5-2. Can you believe they? You should have just given them all.
I've been reading a lot about misinformation tactics from the Russians. This is Russian propaganda.
Should have been just propping in there, just like nonsense to them. Like,
yeah, just
can you believe they run the power eye the whole game?
I'm hearing it's reverse pass the first play is what I'm hearing.
They like a trick play on the third play of every game. But I'm interested. I want to make sure we control the tone and the vibe of this recap.
Yeah,
because that game didn't quite unfold like I thought it would. And I'm not gonna lie, my initial reaction when the game ended, or even when I sat down to be like, okay, what are we gonna talk about, was to maybe nitpick a little bit a few things. But I think we have to preface everything with despite all the things that, and we're gonna get into some of the we're obviously talking about the good, but some of the bad. They won 34-3.
Yeah, the score looked better than I thought the game may have actually went.
Yes. Couldn't agree. I thought Matt Rule put it best at halftime to Jessica Cootie on the radio. He said the result was what we wanted, but the standard isn't. Yeah. And I think that that kind of someone was like, how would you label this game? I would be like, result 34-3. How can you be mad at that? But I just don't. The standard wasn't quite what everybody was hoping for, Nick, right?
I think we're starting to get to a good place in life when we're winning games and we can kind of be a little critical of the wins.
But isn't that amazing?
That's a good thing, though. That's a very good thing that we're starting to get there almost.
And let me tell you why I feel like I have a license to do that right now. I think this team's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think what they are doing is sustainable. And I look at the rest of UCLA stinks. Yes. Now Indiana all of a sudden is looking pretty good. Illinois is now ranked.
Purdue got drubbed.
I watched some of that game. Purdue looked horrible. Yeah. Now you caught a Notre Dame team pissed off. They just lost to Northern. So you were going to get them maybe their best shot, but Purdue looked terrible. Now Illinois is now ranked. Yep. They upset Kansas. There was a lot of turnovers in that game, and Kansas then loses to UNLV. Who knows what my Rock Chalk boys are really like. But I watched a lot of that Central Michigan game. It was 13-6 at the half. Illinois' kicker was incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't think they got a big old back too. They got a 6'3".
I haven't seen them play.
Oh, they got big old back. That's but they look okay. They're ranked now. So this Friday is going to be two ranked teams. But I say all that to say, I think this team is pretty good. I think what they're doing is sustainable. I don't think this is a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Last year when Nebraska won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I can only speak for myself. I think you were vibing with me. There was an element of they were winning the games, but it was this doesn't feel legitimate and sustainable. I think the reason I'm wanting to be, nitpicky a little bit is I think Dylan Raiola, I'm going to gush about him in a little bit. Dylan Raiola's fucking good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yes.
They do have a lot of different guys that can make plays with the ball. Defensively, I think they're pretty good. Colorado had a pretty impressive win to go murder Colorado State on the road like that. I know I'm talking a lot, but I think that's kind of where I want to preface, like, any nitpicking is coming from a place of, like, I think this team can be pretty good, and I think this season can be pretty good.
Well, that's it. So it's funny. Before I came over here, I was sitting here I was talking to my wife, and I'm going like, and I posed this question to myself. I said, well, what does progress even look like? Like, I think I've been confused on what progress is for Nebraska. I think 6 years ago, it was more about the defense. Like, could we tackle and stop anybody? We were talking about certain things that we had fallen so far, but I think we've been a little confused on what is progress since those first couple of years under Frost. And something along the lines of these first 3 games, I think I now have seen what progress looks like. Like, this team has shown progress.
Yes.
They're making, especially offensively, things that were just very fundamental in football. They're making those things that used to look hard look easy.
Agree.
A lot of that's Dylan Raiola, but a lot of it's everybody else. It's like basic execution. We can go out there now with a level of confidence, and I think the fans feel that confidence. So you feel this confidence when our team's out there, whether it's offense or defense. It's true confidence.
Right.
I haven't had confidence in our offense, Nick, in forever.
Right.
Forever. Like, even when Martinez was playing well and we were putting up points, I don't know that I was confident of, like, are we going to blunder something this drive? Like, is this the fumble score? Like,
yes.
It was always lingering. Progress to me is that we now seem to make basic things look way easier than they used to look.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Like, there is genuine confidence on both sides of the ball. A lot of it is Raiola on the offense. And then you feel like the defense, we've seen when they're rolling, what it looks like, and just the depth of, like, Matt Rhule's done again, I'm not sure if there's not a Levante David, Randy Gregory, Amir Abdullah out there. Now, Dylan Raiola, Dylan's the real deal. Okay. Yes. I don't know if he's the real deal, like, right now at this moment, but I don't know. At the same time, I'm like, it's amazing. This guy's 3 games in, and you're like, I mean, I want
18 going on 38. If
I am on a United flight and we had a little turbulence, I want Dylan Raiola to come on the hey, a little turbulence here, we'll be okay. This is your captain, Dylan Raiola. I'm like, it's Dylan Raiola, guys. We're gonna be just fine. Like,
Nick. That's the confidence, the Dylan effect of confidence. It has spread to all the fans.
Yes,
it took him 3 games as an 18-year-old.
It's incredible. And so yes, that's where. What does progress look like? And you're like, you just want to know that it's trending in the right direction. Like, I think everybody feels like these first 3 games, I don't know how you can't be like, the arrow's trending up here.
Yes.
There's been 3 games, 0 stress.
Not really. Yeah.
I mean, UTEP just Colorado. And in all reality, it was we'll get it. There was a few moments where it was like, what's going on in this Northern Iowa game? But, like, the game ended 34-3, and you always felt like they're not going to lose this game. So, but I will say this: we talked about this on our midweek pod previewing the Northern Iowa game. I felt like as the game started and looking at the defense here, I want to start with the defense.
Yeah.
I felt like the ingredients were there for a letdown for the Nebraska defense. We talked about this. You're coming off the high of a Colorado game where there was a lot of energy and emotion from everybody poured into that football game.
Yeah.
They knew that the defense knew they had to get really locked in because you're dealing with elite skill from Colorado. Everyone's patting them on the back for a week. They're ranked for the first time since 2019. And then here comes an FCS team that isn't going to necessarily grab your attention. And they played a totally different style than you've seen so far. So and then add to it, no Jamari Butler and no Mekhi Bayer in the first half because of the targeting. I'm not saying Mekhi Bayer's, Lawrence Taylor, but it's still one of your starting linebackers. So I felt like I don't want to be disingenuous and be like, man, there could be the ingredients there for a letdown. You're still kind of disappointed that they didn't come out and like play the right way, because it did kind of feel like Northern Iowa set the tone on that very first drive. 16 plays. They held the football for 10 minutes.
That's it too. That's a big part of it.
A huge part of it. They get 3 points out of it. And so there were a lot of the first thing that was, there were a couple of, I wrote down 3 concerns. The first one was the tackling.
Yeah.
I mean, shaky tackling. I thought Ruud put it best. He was like, a lot of the missed tackles lead for you. Instead of having it being 3rd and long, it's 3rd and manageable or 3rd and short. You know, they seem to get schemed at times. Like there were different things where all of a sudden a guy'd be open. You know, and then the thing that is a little concerning was like the line of scrimmage was kind of moving.
That would be so that's the part I haven't got to rewatch the game from the TV copy, right? I was in the stands, and so it's a little bit harder when you can't go back and rewatch it. But I would love to see what's going on at the D line, because there's a part of me that goes, was that just like getting caught in the wrong, you know, with some of they schemed us well or something, right? Where we move a lot in that defense. But there were times I kept seeing like our defensive linemen like being pushed down the field. Like, so I would love to see kind of what was our calls versus what was happening, and why was there so much, like, especially right up the middle. Like, they were beating us right up the middle. I mean, I will say this, they had some pretty good players. Those running backs were big. Yes. And they were good. And they got a veteran coach, one of the most tenured guys. Like him and Ferenc are like, the only 20-year coaches around.
This is 20. You've been there 24 years.
Yeah, so you got a really veteran coach that's seen a lot of football. They were prepared for us. They had some good players. Their receiver was pretty good, and their 2 running backs were good.
And I thought their quarterback was good. Like Aiden Dunn was kind of crafty, and
he would just crafty and run it when and he would beat you with his run. So let's give them some credit that they weren't like. They were better than UTEP by a long shot in my mind. So I think you got to give them some credit, but we do need to be real and be like, there was something going on in the dead heart of our defense. It was like we were moving too much and getting schemed, or we were truly just getting pushed. So I'd have to see it to know for sure, but that was interesting.
Yeah, just like file that away of like, again, not ready. I still like, it's not like I'm like, this defense stinks, I'm ready to punt. Like
3 points they gave
up 3 because, again, as Bo Pelini once said, pissed off in a post-game press conference when people were peppering him with questions, he said, it's not about yards, ma'am, it's about points.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
For all the crap we're saying of, oh, look at this and that, and oh, they got skin, like the final scoreboard said 3 points. Okay. Yeah. So and that's why I wanted to start the conversation with like, let's not get lost. Let's not let that reality get lost on us here. But with all that said, it is kind of, Ruud talked about how this was going to be more of like a Big Ten type of team. They're going to control the clock. They're big. They want to play physical. Yeah. And you watch UTEP. No one plays like UTEP in the Big Ten. Not that fast. Not that fast, and just kind of like, what are they? Calm down. Slow down. And it just was like the first team that wanted to line up and say, okay, you want to go mano a mano? We want to go. Who is Yokozuna? Who was the WWF?
Yokozuna was the sumo wrestler. Yes.
Basically, it was like Yokozuna. They wanted a Yokozuna.
He would sit on you. He'd basically go up in the turnbuckles and he'd drop on you. He was like 600 pounds.
What was that meeting like?
Some poor guy he's wrestling against. They get screwed him under the.
Did he sit on his face or just on your chest?
He drops on your chest. 600 pounds.
What was that meeting like? And what are we thinking for Yokozuna's finishing move?
Well, we're pretty limited, so I'm thinking straight down. Yeah, straight down.
Just gonna sit on him. Okay. Did he call for it at all? I
think he waddled over to the ropes and just sort of. I think he basically never could move in the ring because he's too big. It's like
he was kind of like. There's a moment where like. Yokozuna, like if you knew that was coming up next on Monday Night Raw, you're like, I'm in on you.
I gotta see this. Well, somebody body slammed him, and I feel like Yokozuna like basically like had to like run and like cartwheel, and he's like, there's just no picking that guy up. I mean, you just have to fake like.
Yeah. Basically, though, they channeled their inner Yokozuna and came at Nebraska, and like even Mark Farley after the game was like, listen, we thought we could be just as physical as they were, and like they were.
the running backs were patient. If you watched them, like they like waited for their holes in their blocks, and I think they did a nice job. I think they had a schemed with a lot of those like counter actions, and like it wasn't as clean as it needed to be, right?
Yeah.
But 3 points is all we gave up. You're going to win a lot of games if you can hold people to 3 points.
So the reason is, if someone didn't watch the game, I was thinking about this. If someone, because we've all been there with like checking, you don't watch a game, you check the final score, and you go, oh, Nebraska just dominated them. And then if you listen to maybe some of the talk afterwards, you're like, what are people talking about? Like, well, here, let me. I want to go through. I'm just going to like hammer through UNI's drives. Northern Iowa's drives, and like you'll get a sense of what we're getting at here. So we talked about first drive, 16 plays, 10 minutes holding the ball, ends in 3 points. Next drive, 7 plays, punt, whatever. Their third drive, 9-play drive. They got it all the way to the Nebraska 31. And do you remember they had it? They go for it on 4th down, but there was a miscommunication. The Dunn fumbled the snap, and so it's a turnover on downs. Like, were they going to get it? I don't know. Maybe not. But it's still, they drove all the way down. So that's twice. They got it all the way into deep into the red zone or near the red zone. The start of the third quarter, 9-play drive, drove the ball all the way into the red zone, running the football. This is the only time I found myself wanting to be on like Northern Iowa's, like doing Northern Iowa podcast. You'd be like, what was up with Farley and throwing the ball when they got to the red zone? Because what was up with that? They ran the ball all the way down, and then they decided to throw it twice, and they overthrow one of the wide receivers, and Hartzog gets a pick. By the way, people are like, is Hartzog in the club now? I'm like,
Hartzog's not in the Uber anymore, I'll tell you that much.
Is he at the Gourmet Grill?
He has moved up to the Gourmet Grill minimum.
I mean, he's got 2 picks.
2 picks.
So that was the start of their third quarter. Then Northern Iowa fumbled their kickoff catch. So their drive has to start inside the 5, which is basically like Yokozuna just like, oh, sit on you. You know? I mean, your drive is just done. And then their next drive, they go 3 and out, but that's when Nebraska got called for roughing the punter. Yeah. So the drive gets extended. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, because then Nebraska was very fortunate on 3rd and long. They run a wide receiver tunnel screen, and he gets the first down. And this guy's got a lot of green grass, and the turf monster gets him, and he just falls. Or that could have been a really long game. But then that was the drive where Prince Will went like, who's a wrestler that came from the top, went Eddie Guerrero. Yeah. Like,
no,
or you went Macho Man. It was like a big elbow.
He went like up and over a guy.
I mean, Prince Will came flying
that was a
in
nice
there.
Play.
And I mean, Macho Man Randy Savage to Aiden Dunn. And then by then the game is basically done. But do you see like
Nick, everything you said, right? Now tally it up. 38 minutes holding the ball to us 21. That's what it felt like. It felt like they were like they just had the ball way too much. Where it's like you're like usually that means like, oh man, they're gashing us and they just didn't get the points out of it. It's really like they did sort of. I mean, they got a decent. How many yards they get? They got
307
total yards. So I mean, not terrible, but like not great either.
They had a lot of penalties. Because that's what, I mean, the Mark Farley kind of was saying that the penalties they had 9 penalties. So
not great on 3rd down. I mean, they were 6 of 16.
But the only way you hold the ball for 38 minutes is that you got to be like doing something right, you know?
You're moving it.
And so, I don't know. I like you said a second ago, and you know more football than I'll ever know, like on trying to figure out what was going on up front. I'm not going to be disingenuous and act like I know what the hell I'm looking at with certain things like that. But I know what a line of scrimmage getting moved one way looks like.
Yeah.
And I know what bad tackling at times looks like. And it's just weird because if there's one thing that Tony White's defense has been now for, this was game 15, right? Yeah. Of him. They've been pretty stout outside of that Michigan game last year, pretty good at the point of attack and the line of scrimmage, and they've been a good tackling team, and both those things were kind of,
nobody's really ran it right up the gut on us, right? No. Like, attacking the edges and doing things like that, like, you see that more often. I feel like I haven't seen somebody run it right up the gut on us.
Weird.
It is weird, and, when we'll get into Illinois, later this week.
Yeah.
But that's something to be concerned about with the Bielema team, right? So.
Yes, exactly. And they're going to have, again, I was impressed with the Northern Iowa backs, but like Illinois is just going to have, there's a reason they're a Big Ten team, and that's an FCS team. Yeah. Like Illinois is going to be better. But again, the bottom line is they finished with 3 points. Was there anything else with, the no Jamari Butler thing, which sounds like he was just sore.
What do you mean?
That's what the rule said, that he was just a little sore from the Colorado game. Like he warmed up and was like suited up, but they just it sounds like out of precaution, it was like they just held him out.
Like general soreness, or like I have an injury that's still
I don't
sore?
know. I couldn't, he was a little banged up. I think they made it sound like he was a little banged up from that Colorado game.
He's got to have like a borderline injury that they're just like, hey, we need you for.
I would, and then the other thing we'll get to, no Micah Mazuka, no bazooka.
What
and it was
exactly was his injury?
There isn't. It was a coach's decision. Rule set after the game was a coach's decision. He's still with us, but we'll elaborate more soon. So that's like,
interesting. Yeah.
And then people weren't sure if they saw Bazooka on the sidelines either.
Oh no.
I know. You're like, don't tell me the Bazooka somehow.
He's starting guard.
He's the bazooka.
Yeah, he's the bazooka. We don't need to lose the bazooka right
So
now.
I'm a little nervous about that. And then no Bayer in the first half. Like, again, that's got to matter on some level.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, like Rule said, the result was what everybody probably wanted, but the standard isn't. That's not everybody's feeling like this has to be a defensive-led team. Like that's the strength of this team has to be its defense.
I think that's fair. If you look at our skill guys, like we definitely have some pretty good players, but it still needs to be like the way we're set up. Like if you look at the season as a whole, like how are we going to win the most games? It's going to be from defensive performance, and like our offense like complements that style.
Agree.
Right?
Agree. And yeah, some of it could have been first UTEP up-tempo spread team. Colorado doesn't even want to try to run the ball, and all of a sudden here comes a 250-pound running back, and they're running it right up the middle. So maybe this game was a good warm-up for the Big Ten.
I think it's a very good thing we got that experience, because it always takes going through something before I think coaches sometimes can, go back to the drawing board and sort of refine how we're teaching something, what we're emphasizing.
Right.
Like you have to see it happen. Like, oh, this is what they're doing to us. That maybe we weren't shored up on enough. Right. Because every defense has a weakness, and every style has, there's things you just don't adjust to naturally as well. And okay, this might take some more work to kind of refine that.
Again, played a lot of guys. I mean, I wonder with the whole not playing Jamari, holding him out. They were playing a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
They were playing even offensively. They got a lot of. There wasn't, and we'll get into this. There was not very much Ramir.
Yeah.
There's not a ton. Now there's only 48 snaps offensively, so there's not going to be a lot of anybody when you don't have the ball that much. But I wonder if there was an element of Rule feeling like we're going to win this game. We got to continue to develop our depth in a game and keep guys rotating and get them in, because
Nick, if you hold out of Jamari Butler, you're already thinking about you're in a way you're thinking past this game, right?
Totally.
Coaches will never say that.
But you're telling me if this is,
but you're basically you're confident we're going to win this game. In a sense that you can make decisions like that, and I think it was clear they were trying to give everybody touches, right?
Oh yes,
because
but you're right. Real quick, sometimes you just saying things like, guys, Jamari Butler warmed up and didn't play. That's a window into how Rule kind of felt about this game. Because you're telling me if this is Illinois, or if this is Colorado, or if this is Ohio State, you're telling me
this is last year.
Or this is
this is last year. And
you're telling me Jamari Butler's not playing?
No.
Oh, he's playing.
We're not it's part of where I think we've made some leaps where this is more, I think, how you would think traditionally at Nebraska was you expect to beat Northern Iowa. And you'd expect to beat UTEP.
And so you go.
And you can make some decisions based, it's like season strategy almost, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Rule's going, okay, Jamari's a little banged up. It's a short week because you're playing. I know it's just one day sooner, but you're playing on a Friday. You're playing Illinois on a Friday and not a Saturday. Let's just hold Jamari out and focus on what's coming down the pike here with Big Ten play getting started. So I think you're right. I think that's the window into the mentality of things. Anything else with the defense before we get to the offense?
No, I think
I do have two. Good. I'm only handing out 2 game balls.
I'm
going to hand out 2 game balls, folks. 1 offense, 1 defense, and we will talk about a guy that I got a game ball for that was on the defense. And I thought it was his best game of the season so far. I thought he played really, really well. Before we get to the offense, because there's an email that I got that I want to run at you. I got to tell you about Peerless Energy Systems. And we've told you, Ed McMorrow, the owner, he was watching the 98 Orange Bowl. He saw Peerless Price on the sidelines. He was interviewed, said, what does Peerless mean? He says, without equal. And that kind of just stuck. That motto stuck with Ed. And then when the company was launched, that was kind of the company motto, to be without equal in the industry. And Peerless Energy Systems is just that. They go to market via local distributors, makes them the best air compressors and ancillary compressed air equipment in the industry. If you are in manufacturing, food processing, utilities, transportation, refineries, body shop, car dealer, whatever, for any and all air compressor needs, go to peerlessenergy.com. Peerless Energy Systems has you covered, peerlessenergy.com. And we are brought to you by the Brickway Cuts by Lucky Bucket family. I mean, your boy I was sipping on them Oktoberfests. You know what I'm saying? Just sipping on them. Just a little sip on them. I had a Brickway Oktoberfest. There was a Lucky Bucket Oktoberfest. They were both really, really good. Oh, I need to give you an Oktoberfest. We have a party at your house this Saturday.
We got a party. Let's do it.
We're bringing that bourbon. Okay. And I'm gonna bring an Oktoberfest for you. Okay.
I'll sip it and I'll maybe.
And then you could see, there you go. That's what we're going to do. Great whiskeys and bourbon, great beers. And you need to join in the party that I'm having like every weekend here with Brickway Cuts by Lucky Bucket. They're located in the Omaha La Vista area, 4 blocks south of 120th and Giles. Go check them out. They're supporters of the pod, and we love it. And we're brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. The local team at Pella, they are fantastic. When I had them work on my house, I mean, Debbie and Vince, the crew helped me find the perfect fit for our home during our in-home consultation. We visited the local showroom to view our options to ensure our selections were the perfect choice. The installation experts, they were awesome, man. They were on time, professional, courteous. They left our house cleaner than they found it. You need to call the Omaha or Lincoln showroom or go to PellaOmaha.com to find out how you can get $100 and new windows and doors starting at $122 a month. That's PellaOmaha.com. Okay. Offensive side of the ball. Should I start with an email or do we want to get into, how do I want to start this? Because there's a lot. I'll start with this email.
Okay.
It's from John. It says, Nick, does Nebraska lose a little of their identity right now on offense trying to get the ball to everyone? If you really lay it out, Nebraska's trying to feed 4 running backs, 4 to 5 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, mix in 2 quarterbacks, etc. It just feels like a lot. And in a way, in an effort to feed a bunch of these playmakers, I'm not sure anyone has really gotten into a great rhythm. Curious what you think. Thanks, John. Is there something to that?
I'm not seeing it like that at all.
Okay.
I mean, I get what he's saying and a little bit, but I also think right now there's enough guys in the same talent.
Totally agree
that it's a little bit of like it doesn't matter as much, and you're kind of letting the pecking order sort itself, right?
Yep.
Like give everybody touches, and you're going to start seeing things out of certain guys, and you're going to see maybe less of what you want to see out of other guys. And that will start sorting itself. And as the year goes on, it will sort itself to, I think, you'll have more of an identity, right?
I agree. I think the first thing, I think generally speaking, there's something to what he's saying. I think the spirit of what he's saying, I can kind of understand what he's getting at. But I think what you said, I think everybody... After the first game, we talked about how the 4 running backs are all
close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
And even like Nair and Banks, pretty close. Like Lloyd, Barney, Fedoni, Carter, like everybody's just generally speaking kind of at a similar level.
Yeah.
And that can make it challenging on a coach or a play caller to figure out like how you're calling plays, handing out playing time, giving snaps, all those kinds of things. I also think we need to stop and not complain about like the Wi-Fi on the yacht.
Yeah.
Like for years, we've been talking about how Nebraska's been void of weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I also think we need to not get too, like now we may be complaining that there are too many weapons or something like that. Like we got to keep that into perspective.
I don't, like I said, we're still searching for like elite playmaking from some of these positions, but we're seeing some good playmakers.
Hell yeah.
And we're seeing depth. We're seeing real depth. Like we're playing a lot of guys because we can.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing. But it will sort itself a little bit more. I do think it will. But right now, I think you want to do this. You want to get a lot of guys the ball. It's good for the team too. It's just good for everybody to kind of get their hands in it. It buys everybody in a little bit more. So right. I think it's a good sign right now.
I think Rule, just to even tie back to the Jamari Butler not playing thing. I think Rule wanted the UTEP game and the Northern Iowa games to be like, let's get the game in control. Mm-hmm. And then let's get a lot of guys on the field, or even better, if in the midst of gaining control of the game, if we can get a bunch of guys on the field and get them touches, great. I think now there's a reason in the Colorado game, like Carter Nelson led the team in receptions in this game. It wasn't like Carter Nelson was out there a bunch against Colorado. Dowdell and Ramir, when it was a real game, and it was nut cutting time.
Yeah.
Dowdell and Ramir were the guys out there.
Yep.
Those two guys basically didn't do a ton yesterday.
Ramir got 2 carries?
2 carries. Yeah. Dowdell, now he ran well, but he only had 6 carries. Again, there were only 48 total snaps offensively, so there's no one's going to have a bunch of
48 snaps, 10 people touched it running the ball. Oh, sorry. 10 people caught passes. Mm-hmm. 8 people ran the ball. So 8 different, like that.
So just do the math
in 48 plays, right? So it's it was a lot of variety. And I think it makes sense in this moment. Like you do want to get everybody a chance to play in this game because Big Ten play, it will sort itself a little bit more.
And it's going to naturally in these real games, the rotation is going to shrink a little bit. And
it is.
What do you think? Big third down, 3rd and 5. Where's the ball going? Nair?
Probably Nair, Banks. Nair,
Swing
Banks,
to Ramir, or that's what
Barney,
the one
Fedoni,
thing. That is the one. The
4.
Nebraska's running backs, like a big weapon right now is the running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. Is pretty good.
They threw it to Emmett Johnson a couple times too, and he's comfortable catching the ball.
Yes, but I think that rotation is going to shrink. I mean, so they scored on the first 3 possessions. Mm-hmm. Carter Nelson gets a touchdown. Carter Nelson looked great. I mean, they've scored on the opening drive now in every game, which is good to see. The second possession was the Nair touchdown, which looked great. Then the third touchdown was set up from the big play from Dylan Raiola escaping a sack, which, by the way, he's kind of hard to sack.
He's slippery. Yeah, he's not super fast, but he's just got a good instincts in the pocket. And if you ever watched him too, he does a nice job of naturally stepping up in the pocket to avoid sacks.
Right.
He just is he's very comfortable stepping up. That's not easy to do. I think people underrate how hard it is to drop back, keep your eyes downfield, feel the pocket, and step up without losing your,
right.
Some people happy feet.
Yes. Or they almost start run out of the pocket.
They almost start running around in the pocket versus
that was Chubba.
Yeah. Versus sliding up in the pocket, still in a comfortable throwing position. He does that very naturally. It's almost you don't even notice it, but when you really look at him, you're like, oh, he kind of avoided a sack there.
Bo,
let's just not get ahead. Don't even jinx it.
He is amazing.
He's an amazing
player.
I don't even want to say too much about him because all we gotta do is wait about 3 or 4 more games, and we can probably say more of the things I think we're going to say, but we shouldn't say them quite yet.
You want to
until he gets us past like half of a
certain
year.
point.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think if you go half a year, there's no questions, right? So I think we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because I'm feeling some of the same. We were talking about. Nick, don't call. Don't
text.
Dylan. Don't
just
text
see if you got
him.
home okay.
Don't do it, Nick.
Just
want to
see if you got home okay. Good morning.
You want to have breakfast tomorrow, maybe?
I had a cup of coffee and I thought about you.
I mean,
Nick, we don't want to do that.
Don't blow it, Nick. Don't blow it, Nick.
He started 13 of 14 yesterday.
Oh, he did, Nick.
Finished 17 of 23 for 247 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like,
you want him to meet your parents, but don't ask.
I want to invite him. I'm going home for fall break, and
Nick,
I'd like you to come.
Do it, Nick.
So what are you doing for fall break, Dylan?
No, I mean,
I want to bring him to Sunday family dinner is what I'm basically.
You got to play it cool. We all got to play it cool, Husker fans.
But he's really good.
He's very
I just do want, like, we got to play it cool, but I also think we need to, like, don't take this for granted and not appreciate and acknowledge what we're watching and what Nebraska has. Like, wow.
It just looks easier. That's what he's doing. He's making it all look easy. What does a really good quarterback, and I think Matt Rule's a very good coach, like, what do they do to your team? They insert control. They can control the game from the offense. Like, we were never in control like this. Now they control the game. It feels like we're starting to see a team that will control the tempo of the game. You know, they'll tone down the risk when they want to tone it down. Dylan has an instinct, and Matt, like, now is our time where we're going to attack you. But it feels very like we are in control of everything we're doing. Like, it's less just random. It's more about, like, we're deciding this, like, we're going to just get a short, like, we're going to run the clock here. Now we're setting you up.
As amazing as it sounds, like, I don't even think they've had to, and it's great because they haven't trailed all season, but I don't even think they've had to really get, like, dial it up and get aggressive yet.
No, they've been, because they're so in control right now that, like, they just do what they want to do when they want to do it, right? They don't have to, like, they've never had to press. Like, what we have not seen, Dylan, is to be behind by 2 scores and press. So we got some more to learn about Dylan.
Oh, for sure.
So, like, that's why I'm slow.
Or if he sees some adversity, like in that scenario, like, maybe he's the reason they're down. This Friday, maybe he throws 2 picks and they're down 14-0 in the first quarter. Okay, now there's still some things we don't know.
Yeah, that's why we have to be slow before we say he's the greatest, right? Like, we know what we're seeing, right? Like, we can tell this is a really good football player. He's a really good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, before he's one of the greatest ever, right? We've got to see him in adversity. We've got to see what he does when he has to press.
Yes.
When he's under the gun, this is a good defensive line. They're drilling him, and we're down. Like, what does he do then? Because you don't know until you're in it. Like, nobody can know. He's never been in a college game under those circumstances. So we'll find out at some point.
And it's coming at some point.
It's
coming at some point. Like those that, Kirk Herbstreit, I think on game day predicted Nebraska to go 7-0 before they. I'm just like, I'm not ready to go there yet.
We have to be a week-to-week team until the day we are 7 or 8-0. We have to be a week-to-week team, and then we can finally be like, I think we're really good.
It's kind of like we talked about the turnover stuff. It's like it's not fixed until it's fixed. It's like, I'm not gonna totally think that, like, the week to week thing is true.
It has to be week to week for us.
The real quick with the offense, because generally speaking, there's been a little bit of like frustration with there haven't been very good second halves, and there've been some people wanting more from the offense. I do think I want to address that for a second. Let's stop for a second. The offense the starters played 1 series against UTEP.
Yeah.
And then they went to the backups. So to me, the second half against UTEP was like the starters went. I mean, Dylan played, if I'm remembering right, I thought he played 1 or 2 series and was out in the middle of the third quarter. Okay. There's that. Then the Colorado game, there were penalties, number 1. But then number 2, it was like, my analogy would be, it was like they were Tiger on a Sunday and they went to the back 9 with a 5-stroke lead, and we're sitting here going, why didn't they have more birdies in the back nine? It's like, well, they had a 5-stroke lead. You're laying up. You're playing for par.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think we're a little bit like, let's not like this offense. Like, what's up with these second halves? It's like, well, UTEP, they were like, now checking in, Rudy Rudiger. Like, yeah, Rudy, it's your time to shine. Yes. In the Colorado game, again, it was, like I said, it was like you were in control of the game.
Yeah.
That's how
I'm not overly concerned about it. Like, same way with our defense this week, the offense the last couple, like, I'm not overly concerned.
I want to go through the drives for Nebraska. I'm not going, I'm not going to be like, and then on 2nd and 7, they ran a counter. We're not going to do that. But so they go touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. By the way, shouts out to our boy Raiden on the touchdown on the reverse. I tweeted out a Raiden gif and got a lot of love from him.
Raiden.
I mean, he's
sneaking up, Nick, sneaking up.
Oh yeah,
sneaking up to special level for us. I think
that guy. I'm trying to think of the last. Who's the last player? Because he was like Wandale wasn't like Wandale was more like
Wandale was pretty special. Wandale special.
No, but I'm saying like Wandale was better, but like
I think Wandale's
a better natural runner. But like I'm saying in terms of
like the Mornay Personnel. But this guy's like skinnier.
Maurice Washington. Remember Maurice Washington?
Yeah, he was fast. He was dangerous.
I mean, that dude was pretty special for a cup of coffee. But like, I'm just saying, there's you start writing down players like Barney at Nebraska. It's not a super long list.
Yeah, he's proven to be. I love it. We got these like young guys, like him and Carter Nelson coming in and like making a pretty quick impact, like being able to play that. I mean, these guys are impressive athletes.
Carter Nelson, I mean, I'm like, he might be Canton Jr. pretty soon because
it's good because like like I said, if he can come along and we have another weapon that and he's almost more fluid than a Fedoni.
Oh, he is. I think he definitely is.
He's just a kind of he's like a little bit different breed. Like Fedoni's kind of got a different build. It's kind of got the longer arms but like Nelson just looks like a more fluid athlete.
If you stop, you go Dylan Raiola, freshman, Raiden, freshman, Carter Nelson, freshman, Dowdell, sophomore, Jalen Lloyd, sophomore. Like, it's a lot of and the other thing, and this is now we're like, I don't know where we're at. Like, if this keeps rolling like it is, when you lose Banks and Nair, like you'd imagine Nebraska will be a pretty attractive portal landing place to go catch balls from Dylan Raiola in the offseason here. So I like the young weapons and what that picture looks like. So they go touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Shouts out to Raiden for the touchdown on the third one. Then on their fourth possession of the first half, they get a turnover on downs. They go for it on fourth and 5, or what? But they could have tried a 42-yard field goal. Do you think they maybe should have tried a 42-yard field goal to see if Alvano can?
I don't know. I think their confidence right now in him is down, and I think we're in a strong position. They wanted to go
because I think the reality is, and this is probably not great to say, that like, are you better off? Would you rather just give it to Raiola and see if he can complete something on fourth down, or trust Alvano to make a 42-yarder? He'd probably say, let's just give it to Raiola. But at the same time, like, again, I'm watching the Illinois kicker. He made a 50-some. I gotta like pull like these games. There's a reason the doc is called Chasing 3. Like these games are going to eventually. You're going to need to make a 42-yard field goal.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was maybe a decent opportunity to like try a field goal. I don't want to, go crazy on this here, but I thought that was interesting. But then halftime hit. First possession of the second half, they drive it all the way down. They get it inside the 15-yard line. They kind of ran like a weird inside reverse to Bonner that I felt like sometimes like a weird play call just brings the drive to like, and you're like, oh boy, this isn't going well. And then they settle for a field goal. And then the next drive, they get another field goal. They tried a naked bootleg with Raiola on 3rd and goal.
I like it.
You feeling that though? Like, sometimes I literally felt after that, because I think it was on first down, they tried a rich ball like inside reverse.
Yeah.
And I was like, this drive feels like it's going nowhere now. They tried a naked boot on 3rd and goal with Raiola, and he slipped. Then, we haven't got to this, the next possession, the interception to Jalen Lloyd. Any thoughts on the interception to Jalen Lloyd?
Not really, because it's a ball he should have thrown, and I think
maybe a little underthrown,
but the receiver should probably win that. And I mean, Lloyd was in body position, and the defender kind of just made it better. Like, the defender, outplayed him for it, kind of. That's how it went.
Yeah, he wrestled it from him on the ground. Lloyd jumped like a half a tick early.
Yeah.
So he couldn't go, high point it and grab it. It was more of like a
good play by them.
Great play.
So it's another one where,
yeah, it's a pick, but I'm like,
you're
I still love you, man.
It was not.
You didn't call me back last night, but that's okay. I still love you. But it's
totally get it.
Oh, you were with your friends? All good, man. All good. No, I wasn't checking my phone every 5 seconds at my house or anything like that. I just was watching this new Netflix series that I've started.
It's great. It's you didn't have to call me back most times. I just
wanted to. I was all of a sudden confused. I called my brother and I was like, I just wanted to make sure my phone was working because I wasn't.
Will you call my phone just really quick?
Hold on, real quick. I wanted to. No, no, bro. I don't have anything I want to say to you. I just want to make sure my phone's still working. That's how it was on the interception. It was like, dude, it's all good, man.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Oh, Nick.
Bro. Hell of a play by that DB, man. What are you going to do? But that's how it feels, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
I did think we were going to get our Michigan special of the joint possession. I thought for a second it was like.
I thought tie goes to the receiver.
I did too. But it was like at that DB wrestled that thing from Jalen Lloyd.
So those are ones that are just coin toss plays anyway. So
and then at that point, Harburg then came in for the next series and so that was Dylan's day.
And that to me is that's a more of a coaching thing. One, it's it's for Harburg hey, thanks for sticking around after taking doing a lot for the team last year, and then being willing to graciously step down for a freshman. We want to get you the ball, get the ball in your hands, make Bielema and everybody that scouts us now be like, we gotta work on this in practice. Take up 6 reps of practice every day for Heinrich Harburg, which they may never do that again the rest of the year.
Rule even said it after the game. He was just he basically said that.
Yeah,
was like, we wanted to make Illinois have to take 20 minutes of practice to
a quarterback that comes in and he actually can throw. He'll come in with Dylan. You have to then okay, what's Nebraska going to do?
I wasn't expecting though. I mean, he came in on Saturday, played quarterback. He lined up next to Raiola and took a handoff.
Yeah.
He lined up at wide receiver. Out of the backfield, he ran a choice route and caught it.
I know. And I really think, Nick, it is more for other things. I don't see that as a game, every game thing.
Oh, I don't think. I guess let me ask you, this strikes me as more of you're trying to make a team worry about it, but I just can't imagine in a big game, big moment, you're gonna go let's put Harburg in and hand it to him rather than hand it to Dowdell. Or let's run a choice route out of the backfield and let's do it with Harburg instead of Ramir.
The only to me, having Harburg for a goal line, QB,
I love it.
Lead, he's a big athletic guy,
that.
And he has the option of you do that and you do a pop pass,
the Tebow or something like that. Yes,
he is capable of handling the ball, throwing the ball, but really QB power essentially.
I kind of like him for 1st and goal at the 3.
I don't really want Dylan doing that.
I don't either.
And I don't think we need to have Dylan do that. So that's where Heinrich's role, I think, will be. It could be important. That's a great role. You come in and get 5 to 10 touchdowns a year doing that.
Tell you what, he looked pretty fluid. The pass he caught, it looked.
Yeah, he's a good athlete.
I mean, it looked good, and it was, and the run, even the handoff, all looked relatively smooth. I was like, wow, look at this.
I was impressed. I mean,
he couldn't fight you. You didn't see the TV. I think after he got the pass, it was something's gimmicky when the player, everybody's like, hey, man. He was smiling.
That's why to me it's I don't expect to see it a lot because when everybody's kind of like, they're almost like, they're going to throw it to Heinrich. Like, you know, like, it's like fun that like the quarterback is doing something like, but he's a good enough athlete. He just went out and did it, right?
Right,
so it's,
right.
it's
Yeah,
great,
it's not like totally like.
I mean, Nick, he ran a choice route. That's like a hard route to be good at.
And he caught it smoothly and in stride. And I just was. So that's how we view the Harburg packet.
It's gamesmanship to me.
If we're talking about Heine's package, I like it by the goal line.
Hey, get your hands off my hand.
I like his Heine at first and goal.
I do too.
I'm not a Heine from the 50-yard line running a choice route against Illinois. That's not how I like my Heine. Okay,
Heine's package.
I am very specific with how I want to look at the Heine. Okay,
the Heine.
I like Heine's in various positions and situations. I like it mainly first and goal. But there's no question that now Brett Bielema is going to have to think about Heine.
We want Bielema's mind on Heine. We want it on it for a lot of this week.
To think about the Heine. The running backs. Any, we talked, the rotation's interesting to me with that. Like, because is Dowdell, I mean, do we chalk up? It just seemed like a game where it was like, Ramir, this isn't going to be a lot of you. We're going to try and go Emmett Johnson a little bit. I don't know.
Nick, I think it's Dowdell and Ramir, but Johnson still, they want to get Johnson in the game. And Gabe Ervin, I think, is a hard worker, and they really like.
I think he's clearly the fourth stringer.
Gabe is
it feels like Gabe's
right
fourth
now, but Gabe is a good enough player where it's like he's not that far off as the fourth.
No,
but I do think right now the strategy is just get everybody the ball, lots of touches. Don't beat up one guy yet, especially the top two. You just don't want to overuse them because they got the Big Ten schedule coming. So,
right.
I think it's going to. They're going to do that whenever they can, and when it gets real, you're going to see one or two guys in there. It's the most Dowdell and
Ramir. That's what I was just going to say. When the Nebraska's played one for real half. And that was the first half against Colorado, and the two guys that were on the field were Dowdell and Ramir.
Yeah, but I watched Emmett Johnson catch the ball. I don't know. He looked pretty good. Like,
and his run, that run was, that touchdown run was nice.
He's a great football player. I mean, he's like I say, he's probably the worst physical specimen and maybe the best football player of them. Like he just has a nice feel. Like, and he can. I love the way they used him in the pass game. So I do think even in big games, I think there
could be some Emmett Johnson.
I think you'll see Emmett Johnson too.
I think there could be some, but I think again, I can't. I go back to that Colorado game, and I'm like, I do think right now though, those those two guys are just maybe a tick ahead of Emmett.
Yes.
The other thing with you talk about Johnson catching passes out of the backfield. The other thing with Dylan, I'm going to text him this.
No, Nick, don't text him. Nick, put it down.
Hey,
put your phone down. Nick. Just you got to remember, whenever you think of Dylan, snap a rubber band on your
crazy
arm.
thing. Crazy thing just popped into my head. The way you throw a swing pass and they're always just like perfectly in stride. I think that's amazing. Anyways, have a great rest of your day.
You send him like little pictures of quarterbacks, like saw this guy, saw the old some Marino highlights.
This funny. This popped up on my Instagram. It's Troy Aikman. That made me think of your swing pass. He used to do it. There's Emmett Johnson was Troy Aikman's running back, and you did it to Emmett Johnson at yours.
Call me.
Anyways, give me a call back. My number is 555.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with my life.
I can tell.
I have to suppress.
Until he wins more games, Nick, we have to be disciplined.
Swing passes are good, though.
Yeah,
they're perfect.
That's right.
He's perfect.
No, he's not.
Okay, sorry. By the way, real quick, what's going on with? I mean, there was more Fedoni perimeter stuff.
I wouldn't get caught up in that. Like,
Fedoni's in a weird. I feel like Fedoni's in a weird place right now. I'm not sure. Like, he's doing. I like him pulling and blocking. I just like him more seam down the field.
I think his lateral movement, it looks a little unnatural to me.
Here's my thing. Did Fedoni have a out-of-body experience during camp, being great at catching the ball in the perimeter and making plays, a la Ruud having an out-of-body experience, winning the field goal kicking job as a 7th grader? Or were you in 8th grade when you won it?
8th grade.
Okay, for people that don't know.
This is why you should never have open tryouts. You should just be like, I'm pretty sure those two are the best kickers. Let's let them try.
On our 8th grade midget football team, we had an open competition for the field goal kicker. And when I say Ruud for a day, was Adam Vinatieri. You were banging like 40 yards.
I kicked toe,
40-yarders, you were towing.
I kicked toe.
You were banging 40-yarders. And we were all like, this is incredible. So you in the job for the first kick of the year. I'm the holder. I put it down. You kicked an Iowa State Cyclone tornado that got to like the left end of, like, it didn't even get above the offensive lineman's butts.
I realized like I'm not a good kicker, I think, right? Before I was like, I'm a fraud.
I was a kicker. Like, you know, you look at your kicker, like, you ready? I think I looked in your eyes. I was like, you're not ready, are you?
I think one day, like the ghost of Tom Dempsey from the 1968 Saints came down and came to my body, and I kicked toe, and I could not miss. Like, I'm
just telling you, I could take you to the practice field where we were, the uprights where you were kicking them through. It was an incredible practice.
I've never kicked well.
And you lost the job after one game because it literally was like, oh, he can't kick.
I think I was the first one. Like, everyone agreed that I should not be the kicker. Everyone say aye, good. Like,
but so maybe Fedoni had a Ruud kicking, like maybe a couple stretches where he was like making guys miss on the perimeter, because I just don't really understand that. But whatever, I still love Fedoni.
I just think it's a part of like their package. Like, hey, if you're not covered down, we're throwing the bubble to the inside guy, and like he's in that spot, right?
And he got stuck against UTEP, but he almost got one down to like the one. He almost punched one in there down by the goal line.
Yeah, he made a nice little effort in the around the goal line. But yeah, I think it's I wouldn't read into it too much. It's like, hey, if you're good enough to be out there, you got to be able to catch a swing pass.
Different things.
You got to do it, Nick. They're going to run every route. You have to be good enough to just catch it where you want to.
Wild though. It almost seems like Carter Nelson's a more fluid route runner catcher. That hurts.
In the paper, no, Nick. In the paper today, they were talking about Barney and
Carter
Nelson.
Yeah.
And Barney said Carter Nelson's the best athlete on the team. I mean, like, he's a guy that, like, he said something like he goes on the diving board and does things that nobody can do.
Really?
So
what a great I like that. That's the kind of, like, please elaborate on why you think he's the best athlete. When someone goes to the diving board, I'm like,
if you're great in the diving board, I'm like, this guy's an athlete. Like,
we all know when you're at the pool and a guy goes to the diving board and does the bounce, and then does something crazy.
I always
sends a message to the rest of the pool.
I learn a lot.
The alpha of the
pool.
I
know. You know what I learn a lot of? Flip, whatever, backflip, whatever. If you can do a gainer,
remember when
I know exactly what I'm dealing with.
You remember when the summer you and I learned gainers?
It took a whole summer.
When we got it. We thought the amount of girls that are gonna love us is gonna skyrocket.
I stand by it.
We were like 12. Who did that? Was Eddie Guerrero. He was a gainer into the
he was
his finishing move.
The moon, what was it called? The
moon pie?
Not the moon pie.
No, then there was the
what's the move called?
Not the frog splash, is it?
No, he did the frog splash, but somebody else did the.
Yeah, what it was.
Was it Chavo Guerrero did the?
Maybe Eddie Guerrero.
Chavo was his cousin.
I think you're right. Look at this. Why do we get a lot of WWF talk today?
Anyway,
we learned the Harlem. I was a big Booker. The Harlem Hangover.
You could Harlem hang. I'd trust you with my life. I'd lay down on the ground. You'd Harlem hangover and hit around my neck and miss me.
Vince McMahon, if he'd have been in the basement watching us, he'd have been like, "We'd like to offer you guys a contract." I'd be like,
"You would Harlem hangover and I'd be like, yeah, right there." Right on
I'd let you
right on the Adam's apple, you know, and you'd miss it by a quarter inch. I'd be like,
I was a hell of a Harlem hangover guy back in the day. Yeah.
You missed your calling. You could have been. I mean, you were just
not anymore. Now I'm scared. I don't know. All of a sudden I woke up and I was 13 and I was like a little afraid of life in general with stuff like that. But no, to tie it back to Carter Nelson being excellent at the diving board.
Yes, the gainer tells you a lot.
He's smooth, man.
Yeah.
I think he needs to continue to have like a role.
Nick, I mean, the fact that he led the team in catches,
I mean,
that's a huge deal when you're that young. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like to get volume when you're young is really hard. And he's getting, like, to get 4 catches just starts building your confidence too. Like, it becomes less scary and you don't worry about drops and all that stuff.
He's got 7 catches on the year.
7 catches and a touchdown in 3 games.
Pretty good.
He's gonna get the ball throughout the year. They've seen, like you said, when he catches it in the slot, he is an effective runner. Even though he's young, he's athletic enough. It's like it's worth just getting him the ball in space.
I agree. You ready to hand out some game balls before we head on out?
Game balls, I'm ready. I'm
not going to hand out 100 again. I'm going to hand out, I have 2. Because don't you think you want to give one offense, one defense? Back in the day, because that football right over your left shoulder, did someone on offense get one and someone on defense? Or is it just like there's a game ball?
I thought that there was.
What do you remember?
I don't remember well. This is how bad my memory is.
Not bad. I'm the same way.
I feel like I don't remember it always being offense and defense. It might have been just one game ball, but there's a chance there was 2. I just don't remember. So if anybody from the old 2000 teams could help refresh my memory, please send me a text or something.
Zach Taylor, he's not busy. He's probably listening to this pod. He should be listening. He would be able to tell you. Game balls. I'm going to start on defense. I thought this was Isaac Gifford's best game.
10 tackles, yeah.
10 tackles, had a 1.5 TFLs, and he you should have seen the TV copy. I don't know how he didn't. This is an incredible throw and catch because he went like
he went around.
Around and jumped it and almost had a pick that would have been an amazing play. I just thought this was one of the first games like I felt him, and it goes to show you maybe at that rover position against teams that want to run the ball. That's when Isaac Gifford does the over the top. Sylvester Stallone. Turn the hat around.
I would argue you're right. Like his role when they want to run it, like he cleans up every mess. Like he is the guy that has sort of the free reign and like the angles he takes and getting people down. Like 10 tackles is it's a nice number, and you know that's what he did a lot of last year so well. Which I think he's invaluable when he's playing good football and taking the right angles and making just consistently always getting people down. It's like we prevent a lot of points because whatever yards, whatever, like we don't give up big plays then.
You just felt him.
Yeah.
Like he was physical, he's flying around. Was that who you would have given the game ball to defensively?
I really nobody stood out to me.
I mean, Hartzog got the pick,
so he would be close.
But I don't know if anybody
else. Gifford probably he made a couple nice tackles, like flying up on the edges. I'd be good with that. I'd concur with the Gifford game ball.
Offensively, hey Dylan, just wanted to. It's got to be Dylan, doesn't it? Or do you want to give it to Carter? Do you want to?
No, it's not.
Not Raiden. Do you want to give it to Raiden?
I think Raiden would be. No, I only give it to Raiden. I mean. You have to do something stand out. If you're not Dylan right now, you have to do something like 2 long touchdown catches or something, or a real long touchdown run and 120 yard. Like
because no one else really blew. Not saying other guys didn't make good plays, but
in the end, Dylan controlling the game, 17 for 23, I believe.
Yep. 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick that was like...
It's exactly what we want, and I think we should reward him, but be cool about it.
So we're just going to be cool about it.
I'll make the call.
Okay.
Don't text him.
Okay.
I'll make the call, let him know he got the game ball.
Just completing almost 74% of his passes. He's got 670 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick.
70% that's the number.
That's he's so accurate.
Good. I love it.
He's accurate. He's got a big arm. He's slippery. He's hard to sack.
Presence.
Great pocket presence.
Smooth.
Oh my God.
just got to play it
Okay,
cool.
let's play it cool.
Let him show us what he's got. We need to see him in adversity.
Yes.
We want to see him against better competition.
And let's see him if he's with a trailing and he's got to get a little aggressive.
Yes.
You know what all that
tough
looks
D-line, like. Trailing in the fourth quarter. We got to see that before Nick, before he meets the family.
Before we're bringing him to Sunday dinner to meet.
That's right.
Meet the Bahs and the Ruuds. Okay, I understand that.
Right.
I mean, to wrap it up, it's great to live in a world where you feel like Nebraska didn't play necessarily great and they won 34-3.
Yeah.
Now, there were some concerning things. Defensively, just got a little pushed at the line of scrimmage. That's like, I don't like that look at all. But I all in all, if you would have, what would you non-con grade were Professor Bahe and Ruud?
Our non-con grade for
So for UTEP, Colorado, you win.
Oh, I mean, if it's not an A,
I don't know how it's not an A.
It's got to be an A, Nick. From our last, because of our last 10 years, this has to be an A.
40-7, pulled your starters in the third quarter. Colorado 28-10, up 28-0 at half, just pounded them.
Yeah.
34-3 Northern Iowa. Someone comes to you before this, when we're sitting here doing our prediction pod, someone says, hey, guess what? This is going to be the first three score of the first three games. You'd have been like, oh my God.
It's got to be an A, right?
It absolutely has to be an A. But stuff's about to get real now. Stuff's about to get real now. You got Illinois on Friday.
Short week.
Short
Preparation.
They're ranked. They're feeling good about themselves. I mean, Kansas that's a pretty good win. KU is kind of like had a nice little surge here. And they beat Eastern Illinois in their first game. But then that Central Michigan game was a little. I watched a good chunk of that, and I wasn't blown away by Illinois, but there's enough there to be concerned.
They're always well coached, I think.
You know me, I'm a Bielema guy. All right. What do you think of texting Dylan this? Do you want to?
No, don't do it, Nick. Don't do it. I got a better idea. I'll go lay down over there and you do one of your Harlem Hangovers. Right.
Let's do it. All right.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.